The sky above Beijing turned red. Not the red of sunset, but the red of fire. General Marcus Chen stood in the underground bunker and watched the screens. Each screen showed a different city. New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai. All of them burned. The aliens had come without warning. One moment, the sky was clear. The next moment, massive ships appeared above every major city on Earth. They were dark and shaped like blades. They hung in the air like gods looking down at insects. Then they started shooting. Marcus had been a soldier for 30 years. He had seen war. He had seen death. But he had never seen anything like this. The alien weapons cut through buildings like they were made of paper. Entire neighborhoods disappeared in seconds. The screams came through the radio channels, until one by one, the channels went silent. "General," said a young woman beside him. Her name was Dr. Yuki Tanaka. She was a language expert who had spent her life studying how beings communicated. Today, she was trying to understand the aliens. "I have decoded their message." Marcus turned to her. His face was covered in dust and sweat. "What do they want?" Yuki's hands were shaking as she held the tablet. "They call themselves the Valorian Dominion. They are a group of 5 alien species. They have conquered many worlds before ours." She paused and took a deep breath. "They are not here to negotiate. They say that Earth now belongs to them. Humans will be used as workers and as resources." "Resources?" Marcus asked. Yuki could not meet his eyes. "They want to harvest us, General. Our bodies, our organs, everything." Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. Then slowly, it turned to something hot, something angry. "Tell me about their other conquests," he said. Yuki scrolled through the data she had gathered. "According to their message, they have taken over 23 worlds. Each time, the pattern is the same. They destroy the major cities. They kill the leaders. The remaining population surrenders within days. Then, the harvesting begins." "Within days," Marcus repeated. He looked at the burning cities on the screens. "They expect us to give up within days." "Yes, General. That is what always happens." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Around him, the bunker was full of soldiers and scientists and government officials. They were all waiting for orders, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Get me a connection to every military commander who is still alive. Every country, every army. I do not care about old politics or old enemies. Today, we are all human. Today, we fight together or we die alone." The next few hours were chaos, but slowly, the pieces came together. In Russia, General Volkov was still alive, with half his army intact. In Brazil, Admiral Santos had moved her ships to hidden locations before the attack. In Africa, a coalition of commanders had retreated to underground bases. All across the world, people who had never trusted each other began to talk, began to plan. The Valorians expected surrender. Instead, they got resistance. In the occupied cities, people refused to come out of hiding. When alien soldiers marched through the streets, they were met with gunfire from windows and rooftops. When they tried to round up survivors, those survivors fought back with knives, with rocks, with their bare hands. The aliens were confused. Their records showed that conquered species always gave up after losing their capitals. These humans were different. They kept fighting, even when fighting was hopeless. They died, but they died shooting. 6 months passed. The Valorians controlled the surface of Earth, but they did not control Earth. They could not walk safely through any city. They could not sleep without guards. Every day, more of their soldiers died to bombs and bullets and traps. Marcus moved his command to a network of tunnels beneath the Rocky Mountains. From there, he coordinated the global resistance. He never slept more than 3 hours at a time. His hair turned gray. His face grew thin. But he never stopped fighting. Yuki stayed by his side. She learned everything she could about the Valorians, their language, their culture, their weaknesses. And she found that they had one great weakness. They thought they were gods. They could not imagine losing to creatures they considered primitive. "They have made mistakes," Yuki told Marcus one night. "They have lost ships. We have captured pieces of their technology. Our scientists are studying it." "How long until we can use it?" Marcus asked. "Years, maybe. But there is something else." Yuki pulled up a map on her screen. It showed the solar system, but with new markers. "I have been listening to their communications. The Valorians do not just have bases on Earth. They have a command center far away, in another star system." Marcus looked at the map. "You want us to attack them there?" "Not yet, but someday. If we can build ships that travel between stars, we can take the fight to them. We can make them feel what we have felt." Marcus thought about the burning cities. He thought about the millions of dead. He thought about his daughter, who had been in Tokyo when the attack began. They never found her body. "Someday," he said quietly. "Yes, someday we will." The door to the command room opened. A young soldier ran in, breathing hard. "General, we have captured a Valorian ship. It crashed in the Nevada desert. The crew is dead, but the ship is mostly intact." Marcus and Yuki looked at each other. For the first time in 6 months, something like hope appeared in their eyes. "Show me," Marcus said. As he walked out of the room, Marcus made a silent promise. To his daughter, to all the dead, to all of humanity. The Valorians had started this war, but humans would finish it. 7 years had passed since the invasion. 7 years of blood and fire and death. Half the human population was gone. Cities that once held millions were now empty ruins, filled with ghosts and memories. But humanity was still fighting. Captain Amara Okonkwo crawled through the mud of what used to be Lagos. Behind her, 20 resistance fighters followed in silence. They had learned to move without sound. The Valorians had very good ears, and even a small noise could bring death from the sky. Their target was a communications tower. The Valorians used it to send messages between their bases on Earth and their ships in space. If Amara's team could capture the equipment inside, the resistance would learn the enemy's secrets. "2 guards on the left," whispered her second-in-command, a man named Kofi. "3 on the right, all armed with plasma rifles." Amara nodded. She had killed many Valorians over the years. She knew how they thought, and she knew they still did not understand humans. "On my signal," she said. What happened next took less than 30 seconds. The resistance fighters attacked from 3 directions at once. The Valorians were fast and strong, but they were not prepared for humans who had spent 7 years learning how to kill them. By the time they reached for their weapons, they were already dead. Amara stepped into the communications room. The alien equipment glowed with strange light. She did not understand it, but she knew people who did. "Download everything," she ordered. "We have 5 minutes before backup arrives." They got out with 3 minutes to spare. 2 weeks later, the data from Lagos reached General Marcus Chen in his underground base. He sat in a room filled with scientists and military commanders. Yuki Tanaka stood beside him, reading from a screen. "The communications we captured contain something very important," she said. "The Valorians have a regional command center. It controls all their operations in this part of the galaxy." "Where is it?" asked Marcus. "That is the interesting part," she continued. "It is not on Earth. It is not even in our solar system. It is on a moon in the Tau Ceti system, 12 light-years away." The room went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. For 7 years, humans had fought a defensive war. They had been hiding in tunnels and striking from shadows. They had survived, but they had not truly threatened the enemy. Now, for the first time, they had a target in space. "Can we reach it?" Marcus asked. A scientist named Dr. James Porter stepped forward. He was thin and tired, but his eyes were bright with excitement. Over the past 7 years, we have studied every piece of Valorian technology we could capture. Their engines, their weapons, their power systems. We have learned much. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a ship. It was not beautiful like the alien vessels. It was rough and angular, built from human steel and alien parts, but it was real. "We call it the Defiance," Dr. Porter said. "The first human starship. It can travel faster than light. It can carry 2,000 soldiers, and it can fight." Marcus stared at the hologram. "Where is it?" "Beneath the ice in Antarctica. We have been building it in secret for 4 years. It is almost ready." General Volkov, the Russian commander, who had become Marcus's closest ally, spoke up. "This is madness. We are talking about sending 2,000 people to another star system to attack an enemy base. Against an empire that has conquered dozens of worlds." "Yes," Marcus said simply. "The chances of success are very small." "Yes. Most of them will probably die." Marcus turned to look at Volkov. His eyes were the eyes of a man who had lost everything, and found a reason to live in revenge. "General Volkov, I have spent 7 years watching my people die. I have buried friends. I have seen children killed. I have lived underground like a rat, while aliens walk on the surface of my world." He paused. "If there is even a small chance to hurt them, to make them feel fear the way they made us feel fear, I will take it." Volkov was silent. Then slowly, he nodded. "I understand. I will send my best soldiers." One by one, the other commanders agreed. From every corner of Earth, volunteers were chosen. They were the best fighters humanity had. They were people who had lost families, lost homes, lost everything except their anger. 3 months later, the Defiance was ready. Amara Okonkwo was among the 2,000 chosen for the mission. She stood in the cargo bay of the great ship, surrounded by soldiers from every nation on Earth. They did not speak the same languages. They had different religions and different customs. But they all had one thing in common. They wanted the Valorians to pay. General Marcus Chen stood before them. He was old now, his hair completely white, his body covered with scars. But his voice was still strong. "For 7 years we have survived," he said. "We have hidden, and we have fought, and we have refused to die. The Valorians thought we would surrender in days. They were wrong. They thought they could break us. They were wrong. Today, we stop hiding. Today, we take the war to them." The soldiers cheered. The sound echoed through the metal halls of the ship like thunder. High above Earth, the Defiance emerged from the ice and rose into the sky. The Valorian ships in orbit detected it too late. Before they could react, the human ship glowed with strange energy and disappeared. It had jumped to faster-than-light speed. Destination, Tau Ceti. The war had entered a new phase. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light speed in the Tau Ceti system. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the alarm started. 3 enemy ships detected, the sensor officer reported. "They are turning toward us." General Marcus Chen sat in the command chair. His heart was beating fast, but his voice was calm. "How long before they can fire?" 30 seconds, General." Marcus looked at the tactical display. The 3 Valorian ships were patrol vessels, smaller than the Defiance, but still dangerous. In a normal fight, they would be able to call for help and surround the human ship within minutes. But this was not going to be a normal fight. "Fire all weapons," Marcus ordered. "Do not wait for them to react." The Defiance unleashed everything it had. Human engineers had spent years studying Valorian weapons and making them better. The plasma cannons on the Defiance were more powerful than anything the patrol ships carried. The first Valorian vessel exploded before its shields could activate. The second was hit so hard it split in half. The third tried to run, but it was too slow. A final shot turned it into a ball of fire. The bridge crew was silent. They had just won their first space battle. They had just proven that humans could fight among the stars. "Status report," Marcus said. "Minor damage to the outer hull. All weapons still working. All soldiers ready." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. "Take us to the command station." The Valorian command station sat on a gray moon covered in ice. It was a massive structure, home to thousands of enemy soldiers and officers. From here, the Valorians controlled all their operations in this region of space. And they had never, in all their history, been attacked in their own territory. Until now. The commander of the station was named Zinvael. He was an arbiter, one of the highest ranks in the Valorian Dominion. When his officers told him that a human ship had destroyed 3 patrol vessels, he laughed. "Impossible," he said. "Humans cannot build starships. Check your sensors again." "We have checked them 3 times, Arbiter. The ship is real, and it is coming toward us." Zinvael stopped laughing. For the first time in his long life, he felt something cold in his stomach. It took him a moment to recognize the feeling. It was fear. The Defiance reached the moon and began its attack. Plasma fire rained down on the station's defenses. Gun towers exploded, landing platforms were destroyed, and then the dropships launched. Captain Amara Okonkwo was in the first dropship. She wore heavy armor and carried a plasma rifle she had taken from a dead Valorian years ago. Around her, 50 soldiers prepared for battle. "Remember your training," she shouted over the noise of the engines. "Move fast, stay together, kill anything that is not human." The dropship crashed through the roof of the station. The doors opened, and the humans poured out. The fighting was terrible. The Valorians were stronger and had better weapons. But the humans had something the Valorians did not understand. They were not afraid to die. Every soldier on this mission had accepted that they would probably not survive. That knowledge made them dangerous in a way the Valorians had never experienced. Amara led her team through corridor after corridor. They lost soldiers at every turn, but they kept moving forward, stepping over the bodies of friends and enemies alike. Finally, they reached the command center. Arbiter Zinvael was waiting for them. He stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by his personal guards. He was tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. His eyes were black and cold. "You are the humans," he said. His voice was calm, but Amara could see the fear behind his words. "You should not be here. This is impossible." "Lots of things are impossible," Amara replied, "like killing half a planet and expecting no consequences. Like thinking you could break us, like believing you were safe." She raised her rifle and gave the order to attack. The battle in the command center was short and brutal. When it was over, Zinvael was the only Valorian still alive. He lay on the floor, wounded but breathing. Amara stood over him. "You will tell us everything," she said. "About the Dominion, about your leaders, about your weaknesses." Zinvael laughed, though it sounded more like a cough. "You think you have won? You have captured 1 station. The Dominion has thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. You cannot win this war." "Maybe not," Amara said, "but we can make you bleed, and we can make others see that you bleed." Over the next several hours, Dr. Yuki Tanaka interrogated the Arbiter. What she learned changed everything. "The Dominion is not as united as we thought," she told Marcus. 5 species work together, but only 2 of them actually want to. The other 3 were conquered long ago. They serve the Dominion because they have no choice. "So they are slaves," Marcus said. "In a way, yes, and slaves can become allies." Yuki showed him a map of the Dominion's territory. "If we can contact these species, if we can show them that the Valorians can be defeated, they might join us." Marcus looked at the map for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was thoughtful. "This war is bigger than Earth. It always was. We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every species the Dominion has ever hurt. He turned to the communications officer. Send a message on all frequencies. Let everyone in Dominion space hear it. It was a recording of Marcus Chen standing in the ruins of the captured command station. My name is General Marcus Chen of Earth. 7 years ago, you attacked my world. You killed billions of my people. You thought we would surrender. We did not. Today we have taken one of your bases. Tomorrow we will take more. To the Valorians I say this, we are coming for you. To everyone else I say this, humanity remembers. Humanity fights, and humanity is not alone anymore. Join us. The message spread across the stars, like fire. The Valorian High Council met on their homeworld, a planet called Valoria Prime. The 5 representatives sat in a great hall made of black stone. For thousands of years, this hall had been a place of power. Decisions made here had shaped the lives of billions across hundreds of worlds. Today the mood was different. Today there was fear. How is this possible? Demanded High Lord Zaroth, the leader of the true Valorians. He was ancient and powerful, with skin like stone and eyes that burned with cold fire. The humans are primitives. They were harvesting crops and fighting with metal sticks when we first visited their system. How did they build ships that can defeat our warriors? No one answered. No one knew. The council was made up of 5 species. The Valorians themselves were the rulers. The Dreth were their ancient allies, tall insect-like beings who loved war. Together, these 2 species had built the Dominion. The other 3 species were different. The Corvani looked like humans but with blue skin and white eyes. They had been conquered 400 years ago. The Morthani were small and clever, masters of technology, who had been forced to serve after their world was destroyed. And the Synth were artificial beings, created by the Valorians long ago to serve as workers and soldiers. These 3 sat silent while the Valorians and Dreth argued. They always sat silent. They had no voice in the council. They were there only to show that the Dominion was unified. But behind their silent faces, they were thinking. They were remembering the human message that had spread across the galaxy. Humanity remembers. Humanity fights. Humanity is not alone anymore. One of them, a Corvani named Threnkai, had already made his decision. That night, Threnkai sent a secret message to the humans. If the Valorians discovered what he had done, they would kill him and everyone he loved, but he sent it anyway. The message reached General Marcus Chen 2 days later. He says he wants to help us, Dr. Yuki Tanaka explained. He is willing to give us information about Valorian fleet movements, star maps, codes, everything. Why? Marcus asked. Why would he risk his life? Because of what we did. We showed that the Valorians can be hurt. For 400 years, his people have served the Dominion. They believed escape was impossible. Now they believe there might be hope. Marcus thought about this. It was a trap, possibly. The Valorians were clever. They might be trying to feed humans false information. But it might also be real. And if it was real, it changed everything. Contact him, Marcus said, carefully. If this is true, we have found our first ally. Over the next months, Threnkai proved himself. The information he provided was good. Human ships used his intelligence to attack supply lines and avoid patrols. Every success brought more supporters, not just Corvani, but Morthani and Synth as well. The Dominion slaves were waking up. By now, humanity had 12 ships. They were not as elegant as Valorian vessels. They were rough and ugly and built from whatever materials could be found. But they worked, and their crews had learned to fight in ways that terrified the enemy. The humans did not follow the rules of war that the Dominion understood. They attacked without warning. They appeared from nowhere and disappeared into darkness. They targeted commanders and left soldiers alive to spread fear. They freed labor camps and recruited the freed workers to their cause. The Dominion was bleeding. Slowly, yes, but bleeding. Finally, the High Council decided to act. They sent a message to General Chen, inviting him to address the council. It was meant to be a show of strength. They would display the human leader on their screens and then announce his coming death. The galaxy would see that resistance was pointless. Marcus accepted the invitation. He appeared before the council as a hologram, projected into the great black hall. He looked small among the giant alien figures. His uniform was simple. His face was lined with age and war. But his voice filled the room like thunder. "You invited me here to show your power," he said, "to make me look small, to make my species look weak." He smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "I came here to tell you something different." High Lord Zaroff laughed. "And what could a primitive creature tell us?" "I could tell you about your future," Marcus said, "but you already know it. You feel it in your bones. Something has changed. Something is wrong. For the first time in your long history, you are afraid." "We fear nothing," Zaroff said, but his voice was not as strong as before. 7 years ago, you attacked our world. You burned our cities. You killed our children. You enslaved our people. Marcus's voice grew harder. You thought we would break. You were wrong. Now humanity brings the battle to yours. We will not stop. We will not negotiate. We will not forgive. You wanted a war, now you have one. He paused and looked at the 3 silent species in the council. The Corvani, the Morthani, the Synth. And we are not fighting alone anymore. Your slaves are watching. They are listening. They remember what you did to their worlds, and they are ready. The hologram disappeared. That same night, on 12 different worlds, uprisings began. The Corvani on their homeworld attacked their Valorian masters. The Morthani shut down the factories that built Dominion weapons. The Synth, who had been programmed to obey, chose instead to remember why they had been created, and turned against their creators. The war for the galaxy had truly begun. The final battle took place above Valoria Prime. The human fleet had grown to 50 ships. They were joined by 100 more vessels, crewed by Corvani rebels, Morthani engineers, and Synth warriors who had chosen freedom over programming. Together, they formed the largest rebel force the galaxy had ever seen. Against them stood the full power of the Valorian Dominion. 300 warships surrounded their homeworld, each one armed with weapons that could destroy cities. The Dreth, the Valorians' only remaining allies, had sent every ship they had. General Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiance, the same ship that had started this journey years ago. He was old now, older than he had ever expected to be. His body was tired, but his mind was clear. "All ships report ready," the communications officer said. Marcus looked at the view screen. The enemy fleet was a wall of metal and death. By all logic, the rebels should retreat. The numbers were against them. The odds were impossible. But Marcus had learned something over the years. Humans did not care about odds. They cared about winning. And sometimes, believing you could win was enough. "Signal the fleet," he said. "Begin the attack." Space became fire. Plasma bolts flew between ships like angry lightning. Shields flashed and failed. Hulls cracked open and spilled soldiers into the cold vacuum. The noise was terrible. Metal screaming against metal. Explosions that lit up the darkness like small suns. The rebel fleet pushed forward. They lost ships with every passing minute, but they did not stop. They could not stop. Behind them was Earth and 100 other wounded worlds. Ahead of them was the chance to end this war forever. Captain Amara Okonkwo led the ground assault. Her dropship crashed through the atmosphere of Valoria Prime and landed in the central city, where the Council Citadel stood like a mountain of black stone. She had lost many friends over the years. She had watched good people die in her arms. Today, she would make their deaths mean something. "Move forward," she ordered her soldiers. "No retreat, no surrender. Today we finish this." The streets of the Valorian capital became a battlefield. The aliens fought with the strength of desperation. They knew that if they lost here, everything they had built would fall. They threw everything they had at the human soldiers. But the humans kept coming. Amara led her team through the gates of the citadel. Inside, the great black hall was empty, except for the remaining members of the council. High Lord Zaroff sat on his throne, surrounded by his last guards. The power that had once filled his eyes was gone. "You cannot do this," he said as Amara approached. "We are the Dominion. We have ruled for 10,000 years. You are insects. You are nothing." Amara stopped in front of him. Her armor was covered in blood and dust. Her face was calm. "That is what you never understood," she said. "We were never nothing. We were just waiting." General Chen arrived an hour later. The battle in space was winding down. The Valorian fleet was destroyed or surrendered. The Dreth had retreated to their own territory. The war was over. Marcus walked into the council hall and faced the captured Valorian leaders. They looked at him with hate and fear and something else, something like respect. "You have won," Zaroff said. His voice was hollow. "What happens now? Will you destroy us? Will you do to our world what we did to yours?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He thought about the billions who had died. He thought about his daughter, lost in the fire of Tokyo so many years ago. The anger was still there. It would always be there. But anger alone could not build a future. "No," he said finally. "We will not destroy you. That would make us like you. Instead, you will live. You will watch your empire fall. You will see the species you enslaved become free. And you will spend the rest of your existence remembering what you did and what it cost you." He turned to Amara and the other soldiers. "The Valorians will be confined to their homeworld. They will not be allowed to leave. They will not be allowed to build weapons. They will live in peace because we will not give them any other choice." "And the others?" Amara asked. "The Corvani, the Morthani, the Synth?" "They are free to build their own futures. We will help them if they want help. We will trade with them. We will be allies if they want allies. But we will not rule them. We did not fight this war to become another empire." The news spread across the galaxy. The Dominion had fallen. The slaves were free. And humanity, the species that had nearly been destroyed, had led the way. 3 years later, a new organization was formed. They called it the Galactic Accord. It was a union of free species, bound together not by force, but by choice. Humans, Corvani, Morthani, Synth, and many others who had suffered under the Dominion worked together to build something better. General Marcus Chen retired. He returned to Earth, to a planet that was finally healing. New cities rose where old ones had burned. Children played in parks where bombs had once fallen. The sky was clear again. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, now old but still sharp, visited him one evening. They sat together and watched the sun set over the Pacific Ocean. "Do you think it was worth it?" she asked. He thought about all the death and all the pain. He thought about the years of fighting and the friends he had lost. Then he looked up at the sky, where human ships flew toward distant stars. Ships of exploration and trade and hope. Ships carrying children who would grow up in a galaxy where humanity was not prey, but equals. "Yes," he said, "it was worth it." On the memorial for the fallen, built in the center of the rebuilt city of Beijing, Marcus Chen's words were carved in stone. They were simple words, but they said everything that needed to be said. We survived, we rose, we remember.